Congratulations, you've downloaded the case study for technology from L5 Consulting. I want to thank you personally for doing so. Right now there's probably about a 5-10 minute time limit for it to be in your inbox. When we're done with this video, it should be sitting there waiting for you to start reading. One of the things that we did initially was walk in and do essentially a documentation process. And that took about a week to 2 weeks to put together. And when we did, I went to the director of operations who was in charge of the project, and I said, boy, oh boy, you guys have some sort of, real issues here. And he's like, well, give me an example. And I said, well, for example, you're not really ready for Sarbanes-Oxley. You have no logging capabilities. You have no built-in system. There's no way to track who's accessing what. There's no way to secure any information between the different data stores. And guess what? Not all of the offices have the same data set. That's a problem, because if you can't track it and they're not all the same, you're going to have some issues. So we sat down and organized a way to put this all together, and it started almost like an initial breakdown where we took the existing cloud infrastructure for file storage that not all the offices had access to the same thing. And we broke that down into individual sites, creating servers, setting them up. Our team was involved intimately in all the setup for this. We got it up and running and put it all in play, shipped the servers out. They were integrated. Everything was good. Behind the scenes, the director was incorporating VPN tunnels so everything could communicate back and forth. This was wonderful, right? And the offices in corporate now had access to the same information that everybody should have had in the first place. And then we started securing this down on file servers. We went, in about 6 months, we went through and revisited the decision to put all the servers in place. And some of the locations would have intermittent internet connections that would cause some issues with the domain controllers. So what we opted for was to put the entire infrastructure into our cloud environment in the data center, and then replicate that data back to the corporate office for speed. There were about 350 to 450 employees at any one time working and drawing on that data. So we needed it as fast as we could. In the cloud, all the rest of the offices, and I believe there were 17 other offices altogether, that were pulling on the information and grabbing it from the data. It was actually in the cloud. They were using a Citrix environment to access that data. So they were seeing in real time what was happening in corporate, and corporate was happening, in real time for what was happening in all the satellite offices. This was about 700 people pulling on this, and it was a really good thing that all the data was now synchronized. All of a sudden, the company decided that they wanted to outsource a certain percentage of the human resource aspects for all the remote offices. So they integrated an office service in Costa Rica that could access the data center and all the secure information they needed to have, filling out all the forms, putting everything together. And they were able to do all this in real time, just like all the rest of the people were. And so that particular project from start to finish lasted almost 2 years. By the time we put everything in place, of course, there was a much more complicated solution behind it. But this was the thing that your case study that you're about ready to read is going to be focused on. So by now, it should be in your inbox. Feel free to read it. If you have any questions, you can contact me. My email address is rb, like Randy Bridges, at l5consulting.com. That's the letter L, the number 5, and then consulting.com. So once again, Randy Bridges, L5 Consulting, I thank you very much for your time and enjoy your case study. Contact us if you have any questions. We'll talk to you soon.